The new construction tax exemption in BC, the newly built home exemption in BC. It really doesn't matter what you call it. Today's video is all about the new tax exemptions for new construction, specifically buying new construction in British Columbia. It's time to get excited because in today's video, we're going to talk about who qualifies for this exemption, how much the exemption is going to save you, when it's going to be effective, and most importantly, one other little tidbit I'm going to leave for the very end of the video that you're definitely going to want to know, because you're going to save some money with this new exemption, but there's also some extra money you're going to want to save up for. I'm going to let you know all about that and more. If that sounds good, cue the music. Let's get started. My name is Darren, team lead with the German Group and realtor with McDonald Realty in Surrey, BC. If this is your first time on this channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Surrey, BC, White Rock, BC, or anything with BC real estate in general, consider subscribing so you are the first to learn about anything going on with the areas that we serve or the community. And that includes the current market as well. People just like you are booking their online meetups with me and my team every day who are considering moving to Surrey, White Rock, or any of the surrounding municipalities. And the good news is, well, we're here to help you too. Whether you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, or even 9 months from now, be sure to make use of the link to book a time to speak with me and my team so we can help make sure your relocation or move to the areas that we serve is the absolute best it could ever be. So as you're likely aware, buying a new home is expensive. There is a ton of considerations that you're going to want to be prepared for in terms of having your wallet open and ready to start giving away some of that hard-earned cash that you've made. I know, total bummer, right? But here's the good news. The BC government is in for the win and in for the rescue because they have recently announced a change to the newly built home exemption in relation to the property transfer tax you are going to have to pay, or at least the tax that you used to have to pay. So on their bright white stallion, the BC government has came in and made some significant changes to the newly built home exemption that is going to benefit any home buyer in the province of British Columbia that wants to buy a new construction property. The newly built home exemption was first introduced in 2016, which was really introduced to help combat the rising prices at the time. Yeah, prices were still rising back in 2016 to make properties a little bit cheaper for people to get into the market. But in this case, it was specifically for new construction properties. Now, they weren't just losing this tax income, the BC government, they put it up on properties over $2 million. So they actually upped the threshold over there just for general property transfer tax. But nonetheless, newly built homes now had an exemption up to $750,000. There was also a sliding scale between $750,000 and $800,000, where progressively, the closer you got $800,000, the tax exemption would just be completely extinct and down to zero. So this was awesome at the time. This is in 2016, and there was many options available, more specifically for strata properties, I guess in the lower mainland anyways, where you could find a ton of options, whether it was condominiums or townhomes that were under that $750,000 threshold. So this was a big win back in 2016. We fast forward to today. If you're just getting off the International Space Station or coming out from a submarine that has been underwater for a very long time, the year is now 2024. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of new construction in the lower mainland that you're going to find under the cost of $750,000. Saddling back up on their white stallion, the new regime, of course a different party in the BC government, but nonetheless it's the BC government, has made some significant changes to the newly built home exemption, which is going to be effective as of April the 1st. If you're watching this video after April the 1st, 2024, well, you can celebrate because this new exemption threshold is already in effect. So what did they do? Well, they raised that base exemption level up from $750,000 all the way up to $1,100,000. Hey, real quick, I don't run any ads on my videos, intentionally anyways, and put in about 8 hours every week trying to bring you the very best content there is while keeping it somewhat entertaining too. The only ask that I have is that you help me spread the word on my videos so we can help more home buyers and sellers be wildly successful with real estate. Get it right the first time and dodge all the ways that people typically get burned when they buy or sell a home. Now, the only way that we can do that is if you give this video just a simple like to help other people like you find the content. That's the only thing we ask you to do. Don't even worry about subscribing. It will take you about 3 seconds and it would mean the absolute world to me, but more importantly, it may change the world for someone else. Thanks for clicking the like button, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. With the similar $50,000 threshold, as you get up to $1,150,000, your exemption is going to go down to zero, meaning you don't get to save any money if you spend more than $1,150,000. You're paying the full property transfer tax. So this is amazing. If you had bought a new construction, let's say townhome, back in any time from 2016 all the way to pre-April 1 of 2024, you had the opportunity to save $13,000. Now that's pretty awesome, right? But as you likely know watching this video, if you're someone that's been paying attention to buying a home anywhere in British Columbia, unfortunately $750,000 does not go as nearly as far as it used to. And it's also pretty safe to say that there's not a lot of new construction properties, especially ones that are going to be big enough to house families, that are available under $750,000, at least again in the Lower Mainland. With this new threshold going all the way up to $1.1 million, qualifying home buyers will now get to experience of savings of up to $20,000 when they buy new construction up to the maximum amount of $1.1 million. That's amazing. Even the change from $750,000 to $1.1 million, that is an additional $7,000 worth of savings that are now available for people to also spend more money on more expensive homes. Now you may be asking yourself, well, do I qualify? Might I qualify for this exemption? And of course there is people that will qualify and people that won't. The property has to be in British Columbia. That's probably not a surprise for you. You would also have to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident of Canada to be able to qualify this. But here is one takeaway for everybody watching this video in terms of qualifying. To qualify for the newly built home exemption in British Columbia, well, that home has to be your principal residence. It's not going to be for any other purpose other than that. You, of course, can find the full qualification information on the BC government's website, which I will link below this video in the description. Now, before I let you go, there's one thing that I wanted you to hold on to and hold on for before I let you off this video, because I do not want anything to be a surprise for anybody buying new construction in British Columbia. We just talked about how you may be exempt from paying the property transfer tax up to $1.1 million. But if you're following along at home, there's another tax that you need to plan for and you need to think about if you're thinking about buying new construction in British Columbia. Do you need a moment to think about what that tax might be? I'll give you a sec. Go ahead. Ah, ding, 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 you got it. It's the GST that is due when you buy new construction property, not only in British Columbia, but anywhere in Canada. For anybody that bought a home that was worth $750,000 prior to April 1st, they were exempt from the property transfer tax obligations, but they still had to pay a whopping $37,500 in GST to the federal government. For anybody post April 1st, 2024 that buys a qualifying new construction property up to $1.1 million, well, that GST obligation they're going to pay is still a whopping $55,000. So as you can see, while you are going to save some really great money on the property transfer tax, you are still going to have a slightly higher tax obligation with the GST than what you would have paid if the property transfer tax exemption never even existed. But I guess the good news is it still does exist. So now you're all up to date on the newly built home exemption. I would love for you to leave a comment below and let me know what you think of this change. Do you love what the BC government has done? Do you think the thresholds are good, or do you think they should just scrap the property transfer tax altogether? I know which one you're going to pick between those three, but leave your comment anyway and let me know. Now you're fully up to speed on the newly built home exemption or the new construction exemption in British Columbia. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything that you want to know about living in Surrey, White Rock, or BC real estate in general, and we will definitely look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers.